Welcome to the Paul Has Fun podcast. My name is Paul, and on this podcast, I document my life and interests. And who am I? I'm a 40-plus-year-old, born and raised New Yorker. My interests being movies and TV, specifically in the genres of fantasy action, sci-fi, horror, superhero movies, and comedies. I grew up listening and dancing to hip-hop, house music, and now it's dancehall reggae. I'm also into video games, comics, action figures, pro wrestling, self-development material such as books, podcasts, and videos. I'm also into a plant-based lifestyle. I've been an eBay seller for over 20 years, and I love weird but true stories. I discuss all of this, and sometimes even other topics, on this podcast. Thank you so much for spending time with me. On this episode, myself, Mark, and Jason G are reviewing a spoiler review of Alien Romulus. And before we get into the review, I'm recording this almost a month plus after the movie has come out. The movie came out in mid-August, and I'm recording this near the end of September just to get the theatrical run and see how the movie has done in theaters worldwide. And the worldwide box office for Alien Romulus is at $342 million. It has gone over $100 million domestically, and international is where it's made the bulk of its money. This movie is the second most money-making movie of the franchise, of the Alien franchise, right behind Prometheus. And it's not that far away from Prometheus. Prometheus ended its box office run back in the day at $403 million, and this movie is right behind it. I'm even comparing this to Alien, the 1979 Alien, where according to Box Office Mojo worldwide it made like $109 million. I'm sure with the re-releases and the DVD sales and all that stuff, it's made way more than that. Just to say that Alien Romulus, the second most money-making movie in this franchise, right behind Prometheus, which is number one. Now, this particular episode, we did it a little differently. As opposed to what we normally do is, as soon as we come out of the theater, we all record it. Like, I just bring the podcast equipment, we all record it there. But this one, we did it separately, and surprising to myself, after listening to the episode, listening to our different reviews, and also editing the reviews, we all had some similar observations, which I found very interesting. Enough talking for this intro, and let's go ahead and get into the episode.
Are you sure you want to do this? There she is. You want to break in and steal highly regulated equipment.
This could be our only ticket out of here.
Should be in and out in 30 minutes.
Welcome to the Romulus Space Station.
Good evening, this is Jason G, and we just saw Alien Romulus. Paul and Mark and we had a really good time. And I tell you, this movie is, I think, this, for me, is the sleeper of the year. You know, I was not expecting it to be this good. I was actually purposely not reading anything about it. I didn't watch any of the trailers because I just wanted to go in, you know, where everything would be fresh. But I really did not think that this was going to be as good as it was. So when I went before we saw it to the Rotten Tomatoes website, and I looked up the percentage of the good reviews, it was I think in the 80s. I think before that, like a day or two before that, it was in the 90s. But still, it was like 160 reviews. It was in the 80s, and then I was like, wow, this is really promising. I mean, I was like shocked. So I'm like, okay. And then even that is a low score for me. I I'm not going to say my score until a little bit later on this recording. But so anyway, we went in. Mark, I think originally he said in our little review when we got out, our reaction video that we filmed just when we got out of the movie, he said it was a little slow in the beginning, but I actually didn't mind that. I think Alien, the original one, is my favorite of them all. Some people like Aliens better. That's like a big time fun action movie. But I prefer the style of movie that Alien is, where it takes its time in the beginning and then it gets really good and crazy towards the end. But I think this movie is like the best of both worlds. You have the horror, the character development of the first one, and then you have the action and fun and the craziness of Aliens. Now, in the timeline, this takes place in between Alien and Aliens, and it's a blast. I tell you, I had such a good time. It was becoming like, even though I enjoy them all, the Alien movies and the Alien comic books and stories, a lot of them are similar in terms of, okay, you got the face huggers, you have the alien coming out of the stomach, you have fights going on, and then it ends in a similar way somewhat. And it's a lot of fun. We love that. We love the alien stories. But this movie, what was so great about it is that it takes that, all the stuff we love about Alien, but has so many great new ideas. It feels fresh at the same time, goes back to the original ways. I love the sound of this movie. I love the fact that they used the old computers from the original movie. All the sounds brought back so many memories of that original Alien movie. I'm not going to make this too long. I'm going to go to my score now. My score is going to be a 9.3. This movie may be the best movie of the year for me, but I'm not sure. I have to go back and think about everything. So let's talk about the performances. The actors were fantastic. Some characters were fleshed out more than others, but of course the standouts were Andy, the android, or the synthetic character. This role is an actor's dream of a role because you get to play a different character in different times of the movie because they switch out the disc or whatever it is that they put in and out of him. And so at first he's a shy character. He's like the brother of the lead, and I forgot her name actually, but she was also very good in this. Yeah, it's a great cast. I'm gonna call it. I think the actor, and I didn't look this up, but the actor who played the synthetic Andy the android. I know they don't call him androids in this movie, but I would go and say he might be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He's that good. This kind of role where you can change your personality within the same movie is like, you got Face Off, where you have Nicolas Cage playing John Travolta and John Travolta playing Nicolas Cage. That was a dream of a role, or dream of roles. And then you have the, even though it's a silly comedy action movie, it's pretty interesting. The Jumanji movies with The Rock, those two movies where you have these actors who are playing other characters. The Rock is the video game, but then he's playing the character as the original actor, as the original character who's playing the video game. So, these kind of roles are really interesting. One day I think they're going to make some unbelievable movie with this kind of role. But this is actually, because this guy is great. This is like an amazing role. And then you have the Ian Holm character who's playing Rook in this movie. He was Ash in the original one. It's the same look. It's maybe controversial the way they did it with the making him look young with the CGI. But I wasn't bothered by it. It wasn't that bad. And I had a great time. This movie was fantastic. Go and see it. Biggest screen, best sound, all around greatness. Alien Romulus. Have a great time. Peace.
Wait. Do you see it? There.
Fucking thing's hunting us.
Right. New plan. Can you manage yourself with the gun?
Yes, I fucking can.
Taking a quick pause for the cause, and just wanted to ask for your support. If you're enjoying this podcast or have enjoyed any of the content that I put out, please support this podcast by doing any or all of your Amazon shopping by clicking the link in the magical unicorn-like show notes. And also, you can donate as well. I leave a link where you can donate through the Cash App, PayPal, or through Zelle. This podcast is not free to do. I love doing it and I love bringing it to you, but some notes of appreciation, i.e. dollars, would be greatly, greatly desired and appreciated on my end. So let's go ahead and get back into the episode. Once again, I leave all those links in the fantastical, once in a lifetime, absolutely stupendous show notes. And you can find those on whatever media player that you're listening on. Let's do this. Let's go back into it.
Hey guys, it's your boy Mark over here giving you a nice review for Alien Romulus. And this movie, first impression, was amazing. I am big on sci-fi, and yet I'm not big on horror. I think the sci-fi genre has a funny way of being subtle about throwing in other genres, whether it's comedy or romance or horror or thriller. I think there was a thriller. It was thriller, a little gore in there. Of course, it's an alien film, so I wouldn't expect otherwise. But I knew the gore was going to be there. I'm not big on the gore, so when those scenes came, of course, it was a little like, ugh. But hey, all in all, still a fantastic film. I thought it was a little bit of a slow start, and knowing that this movie was a little bit under 2 hours, the first 40 minutes or so, I was like, okay, when is the action going to start, though? I appreciate the backstory and you letting us know and introducing these characters, but when are we really going to get to the action? Because we've seen the preview, so when are we going to get to those scenes, right? I think once they arrive at that space station, which is like, I want to say 45 minutes in, that like the next hour and like 10 minutes was just intense. It was everything you expected and more. And if you are part of the fan base for Alien and you were waiting for an Alien movie to come out finally, it was worth the wait. It was definitely worth the wait. The music was fantastic throughout. I think the characters, all great actors and actresses, even the individual that played the synthetic life form, his name escapes me right now, whereas I think Paul was referring to him as AI, but synthetic life form, I think, is how they refer to it in the movie. I just thought it was amazing to see that switch over in the beginning. The simple function for him was, to serve the purpose of the best interest for Rain, one of the characters, which being passed off as his sister. But once he got on the space station and they had to change, I'm familiar with the Alien franchise, so I do not know the other synthetic life form of which they took the chip out of to put into this individual. But it changed, and his demeanor changed, his attitude changed, and now his purpose was the best interest of the company. We know this company is not a good one, but it was interesting to see the dynamic of all the characters. Now, I will say, the death of pretty much the main cast, I think it maybe because the movie was, all the action happened in such a short period, I was just like, man, they really disappeared in quick fashion. They really died in quick fashion. Glorious deaths for them all, but they died in quick fashion. There was some little surprises in there that I saw. There was one character who was pregnant. We knew what was going to happen with her eventually, but it was interesting to see that when she gave birth, it was like this hybrid, this human alien hybrid, and I was just like, wow, I've never seen, I didn't expect that. I did have some questions within the film, like if I think you need a travel passport, or to have the freedom to travel from the mining colony, you needed some pretty much like an approval from the company, which they rarely give according to the characters. But yet they were able to board this ship and easily go into space to approach this drifting space station with ease. And I was like, okay, if they could leave this whole time, then why haven't they done so? But, well, okay, that's fine. I think that there was a question I had, that there was vials that was supposed to be returned back to the company for further analysis. And near the end of the movie, the vials are still on board. I think her name, Rain, is her name, the character. She puts herself into stasis to go on to this planet that's about nine years away you never get an answer as to what happened to those vials, but I'm assuming it was samples of the alien egg, but whatever happened to those vials. There were a couple questions for me unanswered, and I didn't have any big cons with it. I do think that there could have been just a little more action, a little more exploratory of the space station. It's a big space station, but I feel like the primary focus was to get in, to get the pods, get the fuel you would need for the pods, and get back to the ship and rush out, which was their primary goal in the beginning. But seeing that you're encountering these species, I kind of wish that they kind of, maybe, I don't know, like a split up gang kind of thing, split off into different areas of the space station. You get to explore a little bit more, because apparently this station is known from another Alien movie, which I have to look up and probably rewatch. But I was like, we should have just had that opportunity to explore it a little bit more. But again, overall, I love this movie. Would I see it again? I would see it again, but I would have to see it again with somebody else who has not seen the movie, so that I know what to anticipate, and I just want to see their reaction. But like Paul said, I think it's something that you want to watch with subtitles, because sometimes you got so wrapped up in the action that you might have missed some of the dialogue, and that's where you would have gotten maybe some more information gathered. Maybe some of the questions I may have had might have been answered within the dialogue, but you're so captured in the action of it all that it's totally fine. Like, it's definitely a movie I would watch again. For sure. But definitely, if you're going to watch it, I would, and you haven't seen the other Alien movies in a while, I would definitely just do a little refresher of the other Alien movies. Or, again, Paul, if you can share that 41-minute clip just to kind of give everybody that timeline, I think that'd be awesome to get yourself prepped for the movie as well. But my total score on this movie, we had a lot of good ones for the summertime. I'm going to give it a solid 9.1. Again, great sci-fi movie. Everything I expected in a sci-fi movie when it comes to a timeline and exploration of space and other species. And like, it's not, Star Trek where you're making diplomatic relations, or Star Wars where there's a more defined force or focus on a certain individual or classification of individuals. But it was a really good sci-fi film, great summer movie, something to bring a good crowd out for. I don't know if it's kid-friendly, but for kids who do like it, I think they would enjoy it as well. But that's my review. Again, this is Mark, and that's my review of Alien Romulus.
Of the 7 crew members, only one survived, blowing the creature out of the airlock. We've been searching for it ever since. The perfect organism.
These are my thoughts on Alien Romulus. I'm recording this the day after Jason, myself, and Mark. We watched it once again at the AMC Empire. We watched it August the 15th, 2024. Alien is one of those franchises where I can go ahead and kind of get into the weeds watching different YouTube videos about the lore of this series. One of the reasons why is introduced more so with Prometheus and Covenant, but definitely much more with Prometheus in this movie series. There's a lot of questions that come up when watching the movie, like, did this happen, or where did this come from, or what was that? I find that you tend to get more information about certain characters and aspects, creatures, in watching YouTube videos made by fans about the lore, because they'll collect lore from comics, they'll collect lore from books that have been written, and also deduce things that came from the movie. So it could be inaccurate, it could be very accurate. It makes for interesting research in kind of looking up information for this particular franchise, like things I'll get into, like the black goo, right, which is present in this movie. And that's one of the very cool things about this movie, is it includes, I would say, aspects from all the Alien movies that came before it. And examples being Aliens, where Ripley is wearing Reeboks, the main heroine female character in this. And I pulled up the cast just to make sure that I have everybody here. she's wearing Reeboks. There's one scene where, and looks very similar to the Reeboks that Ripley's wearing as well. There's a scene in this Alien Romulus movie when her name is Rain, the main character. She has a gun that looks very similar to the guns from, and even kind of acts the same and sounds the same to the guns in Aliens. There, and we're talking full spoilers as we normally do on this podcast. There is an alien hybrid creature as something it's like a hybrid creature that looks something out of Alien Resurrection, but then has a little bit of engineer features. This movie has the black goo. The black goo is in Prometheus. In Alien Covenant, you have two androids that are the same model but are different characters. In Alien Covenant, that being Walter, and you have David, right? And in this, you have Rook and Ash. Ash from the original Alien movie, and Rook being the character in this one, but it's played by Ian Holm, who has passed away. Ian Holm was in the Lord of the Rings movies. It was kind of like his digital likeness, like they do this kind of thing with the Star Wars movies, like with Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. Mark Hamill, who's still with us, thankfully, and Carrie Fisher, who has passed away. I got a little confused. I thought that was Rook. Rook in this movie was Ash, who was the original android who goes haywire in the very first Alien movie, but I guess it's the same model, different character. To me, the standout in the movie was David Johnson. He played Andy the android, because he played multiple roles, sort of. He played like this dumbed-down, malfunctioning synthetic android person, and then he got this upgrade for a portion of the movie where his accent changed, and a synthetic, very cold robot, highly intelligent, changed accents, changed his body mannerisms. You sympathize for the character, then you kind of had your suspicions as you're going to betray them, because there were kind of vibes of that. This movie has all the hallmarks of an alien movie in the sense of claustrophobic space, dark creatures chasing you. The alien design, like having owned Aliens toys and like really looking up close at these alien kind of figures. The alien design was a little bit different in this one, and there was not just one alien. There was multiple xenomorphs and multiple face huggers in this one. So the cast in this movie, they were definitely doing a lot of running. Okay, like I said, we're talking full spoilers. Really, the only one that actually makes it is the main character, who's definitely giving Ripley vibes in her appearance. Like with the tank top, there's one scene where she's coming out of an elevator, tank top, Reebok sneakers, hair blowing, and it was something very similar out of the third act of Aliens, right? But not militant Ripley vibes. She's her own character, this Rain person who's the main protagonist. She's her own character in this one, but definitely in her appearance. So was this movie good? I really enjoyed this movie. I enjoy these alien movies. I think the only one that was kind of okay for me was Alien 3. I've enjoyed every movie in this franchise. Some movies have more questions than others. That, I guess, it makes for interesting research, but I think for the regular viewer, it may not be a pleasurable experience because maybe they leave with questions. And this movie, like I said in the very beginning of this review, goes in that same path of having questions that are not 100% answered. And if you've seen the movie, like some of my questions were, they found the whole container of this black goo. They took it with them, but it just wasn't ever mentioned again. And this black goo was, as we know, is very dangerous. It's something that morphs whoever uses it into a creature. From the research I did on YouTube, it has multiple things that it can do, but it's not good, basically. Also, the theme that I didn't mention of Weyland-Yutani, the big corporation, they want their hands on any of this kind of alien and in tech, or not, it's not even tech, the alien itself, the facehuggers, they want this so that they can kind of, I'm sure, use it for military purposes or for whatever purposes. There's always talk of like the perfect creature. But my thing is, this movie takes place in between Alien and Aliens, so maybe they don't know by then. And a lot of the movies that have come in the series, really, like the only sequels have been like Alien, Aliens, and Alien 3. But Prometheus, Alien Covenant, and this movie all kind of take place like before this corporation, Weyland-Yutani, has to know that This thing is dangerous. It's killing people all the time. Why do you want to collect it so bad? That's just one of the questions that I kind of had, like just reflecting on the series. The beginning of the movie, the initial font of like the cast and the crew, and it gives off 80s sci-fi magazine vibes, which I loved. This movie, and a lot of these movies of the last few years, movies that come to mind are like Spider-Man, the third one, that No Way Home, and Furiosa, and all these other movies. They're very much playing on the nostalgia of movies that I grew up with, that I was introduced to, and this movie does that as well, with, like I said, all the throwbacks to the previous Alien movies that I mentioned before. The people making these movies now are people all in my age group, in and around my age group, and they're just like kind of talking to me. It's not even only with the movies, it's with TV shows like a Cobra Kai, it's with action figures, it's all this stuff. I'm loving this particular period of time when I'm getting all this content of stuff that I've grown up with. New shiny versions of it that are good. But then it begs the question of, when are we actually going to get brand new stuff? Is this like new for us here now that we haven't seen before? One could argue like Rebel Moon was something like that, where I didn't review Rebel Moon. The original versions on Netflix were not, I didn't even see the second part. The first part wasn't bad. But a couple of weekends ago, I watched the director's cuts of Rebel Moon and as a whole thing, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's not perfect. It has some really dumb stuff in it, but this is something new, and new things are nice too. It's nice to get new things that are good, but that's always the thing. Like, it's tough to make something that's actually good. But getting back to Alien Romulus here, I enjoyed this movie. The cast was fun. Andy, who was played by David Johnson, the synthetic in this particular movie, he was the standout. Jason said this, and like I said, you're going to be hearing from him in this review separately, and he was right. Like, they did some new things with kind of this formula, this alien formula of being chased by the alien, chest bursting, claustrophobic environments, a lot of sweat, and he said that they did some new things. He did say that. I want to give him his props for saying that, because I do agree. Also, another element I forgot to add was there was also a pregnancy and a giving birth in this movie, and that's from Prometheus as well. So all these elements from all these past movies, but done in a very good package. I wasn't ever groaning or like, oh, they're just recycling all this. I mean, they are recycling all these things, but like I said, the way it's presented and the package that it's put in to tell this particular story, I really enjoyed, and I love all the gross out stuff. That's one thing with Fede Alvarez, and we got that with the Evil Dead remake, the first one. He sometimes can take it there with gross out stuff, and I really, really enjoy that stuff. I really do. I love the addition of Rook as well, the Ian Holm android, and how he was kind of this villain, but not so much a villain in a bad way, but a villain in the sense of like, it's for the corporation, so make sure we're doing this for the company, which is almost like the default setting of these synthetics. So that was interesting as well. And also a malfunctioning Andy, not malfunctioning in a malicious way like Ash was in the very first Alien movie, or even David in the Prometheus movie and Covenant movie, where he just actually kind of goes a little crazy, but malfunctioning kind of in a good way, just like not in a malicious way, in a sense, in a good way, in the sense like he wasn't trying to harm his human, I guess you can call them servants, which is not the best way to put it, but he wasn't trying to harm his fellow humans. Not his fellow humans, but the humans he was working with. There's some great action scenes in this. There's some great kills in this. If Fede Alvarez wanted to make another Alien movie, I'd be all for it, because I really did have a good time with this. If we're going to score this out of a 10, it's going to be an 8 for me, because it left me with questions on this particular space station that the characters, the protagonists, go to steal something from. They were experimenting on alien stuff, but I didn't see, and there were so many facehuggers on this ship, but I didn't see like a queen, or how was it that they were making these facehuggers aboard this ship. Also, another question was, in the very beginning, I didn't say this before because I got all like this nostalgia thing with the way the font looks and the way the technology looks in the movie, and the buttons or something and on the ships and things were like backlit and something out of the 80s with these hard screens and these DOS looking graphics on the screens. Like I said, it was very cool. The sounds and everything, like I said, aboard in terms of the technology in the movie. Other questions I had was, in the beginning, it seems like they are extracting an alien from the Nostromo, because you see wreckage from the Nostromo, which is the first ship in the very first Alien movie, the Sigourney Weaver one from the 70s. And they found an alien kind of in a hard, like, shell. Was that the alien that she ejected from the ship in the first one? Or how did they find that to begin with? And I didn't understand. With the whole same female final girl heroine, who was played by, once again, the actress's name is Kaylee Spaney. Her name was Rain in the movie, and she's the lone survivor, along with and who jumps into, of course, one of these cryopods to hibernate. Like I said, it's the same formula, but done in a fun new package. And it's the movie's tight. It has some setup in the beginning, but then after that, everything just kind of happens back to back, and it's fast. And I enjoyed it. It kept you on the edge of your seat, and I found myself on the edge of my seat and like getting tense, which was good. So those questions that I had from before. How is it that they made so many face huggers? I did not see a queen producing all these face huggers. It looks like they were grown in a lab. And it looks like they got the information, like if we're connecting all the Alien movies, it seems like it seems like David, the synthetic from Alien Covenant, he created the facehuggers that eventually create the traditional xenomorph, right? I'm sorry, I've been just doing a lot of research on this with YouTube videos and stuff. It seems like he's the one that did he get this information back to Weyland-Yutani? Were they perfecting this thing on this space station? All these facehuggers were located. Like I said, I had questions about the black goo. I had questions about how is it that this alien, where did they find this alien? So I would like to rewatch the movie with subtitles, because maybe there's something I missed. Or this is going to make just content for a content creator out there to explain things that happened in this movie. This is a fun movie. An 8 out of 10 for me. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will catch you on the next one.